Well, we've reached the Ebony Woods with little issues. If we keep this pace, we should reach Port Haven a little sooner than we originally thought. The sooner the better, in my opinion. Come on, Blue Blood, keep up. Are you alright, Blue Blood? You keep staring at my face. Is something wrong? What? You were staring at my scar? I'm sorry, Blue Blood. I know it's not very nice to look at, but it's not exactly something I can hide easily. I can see how no one can look me in the eyes. I know I'm not a beautiful woman to begin with. I'm far more muscled than most women. I don't have a girlish figure. And I'm a little on the tall side. If you take all that into account, you can understand why I haven't had very many suitors in my life. And those who did ignore the rumors of my plain appearance were quickly put off by my scar. Though, to be honest, I don't mind. This scar reminds me every day that I am stronger than the little girl I used to be. How did I get it? Are you telling me you've never heard the rumors around Vardenfell? No. That's shocking. The palace maids are the worst gossips I've ever met. I was certain they would have told you about my scar the day your father announced that I would be taking over your security detail. No doubt, to warn you about the brute that is Captain Orcis. So they did tell you about me. How I was stern and ran the guard with an iron fist. Well, I suppose I do run a tight ship. But it's all to protect the kingdom and its people. And to protect you, Blue Blood. And your father, of course. If anything were to happen to you because I went too soft on my troops, I would never forgive myself. If that means I come off as a scarred brute, then so be it. I still haven't told you the story of my scar. Oh, I don't know if you actually want to hear about that, Blue Blood. It's not a short story, nor is it pleasant. That is true. Our journey isn't exactly short either. And I doubt receiving any scar is a pleasant story. Ugh, very well, Blue Blood. Well, you recall how I told you about Magnus, the former captain of the guard, taking me under his wing, correct? Well, while he did begin my training early, he would not formally allow me to join the Royal Guard until I was 14. I was so excited to finally be a part of something bigger than myself. I had been training for this since I was 12 years old. I knew I was ready to begin my life as protector of the kingdom. I thought I was ready for anything. Magnus took me on a border patrol along the border between Vardenfell and Torberg. I remember her complaining how boring patrol duty was. Magnus always told me that I was too eager for a fight. And he wasn't wrong. I was constantly getting into fights with the other children. I'd come home covered in scrapes and bruises, but nothing too serious. Eventually, as my training progressed, the children stopped picking on me. But I never stopped looking for fights. I always felt like I had to prove myself, since I wasn't from Vardenfell originally. I guess, looking back on it, I was nothing but a bully. I wish I had listened to Magnus whenever he scolded me for getting into more trouble than I could handle. Maybe if I had, I would have paid more attention to what was around us that day. I would have been more on edge instead of talking his ear off with promises of grand adventures and mighty victories. I would have seen those 4 bastards who jumped us. They grabbed me first, knocked my blade away, and held a knife to my face. Magnus wasn't restrained so easily, and was even able to draw his blade. The man holding me, I remember smelling his rancid breath as he spoke. He ordered Magnus to put down his blade and remove his armor. Said that he and his friends would be taking them, but didn't want our lives. Magnus didn't do as they asked fast enough. So they cut me. I remember staring at him the entire time the blade was being dragged down my face and throat. I must have screamed so loud that the Allmaker himself heard me. I thought I was going to die that day, Blue Blood. But Magnus certainly picked up his pace after that. And do you want to know what was strange? There I was, covered in my own blood and tears, bawling like a child, and he was standing there, smiling at me, telling me that everything was going to be all right, that he was going to get me out of this mess and bring me home. And I believed him, Blue Blood. I believed him with all my heart. After all, he was the great Magnus Kane, captain of the Vardenfell Royal Guard. He single-handedly saved the king from 24 assassins in his career. He was the bravest and most gifted fighter I had ever met. And I believed him when he told me that we would be okay. He was looking me in the eyes the entire time. Even as one of those bastards took his sword and thrust it into his back. Even as he fell dead to the ground, his eyes were on mine. And he was smiling at me. What happened next? Well, to tell you the truth, Blue Blood, I don't really remember. All I can recall is not being able to breathe. I felt, I don't know, lightheaded, I guess. And then everything was a haze of red and screaming. Who was screaming? I couldn't even begin to venture a guess. But when I regained myself, I was holding Magnus in my arms. And those 4 bastards lay dead all around me. I didn't even know how I was able to get away from the one holding me. But by the Allmaker, I made them pay. Magnus didn't deserve that kind of death. Stabbed in the back by a coward. He deserved a glorious death in battle. Or a peaceful one when he was old and grey. He didn't deserve to go out the way he did. I don't know how long I sat there. But I was eventually found by the vice-captain and his patrol. They took me to the healers. They said if they acted quickly that divine magic could be used to keep my face from scarring. They were quite shocked when I told them to just stitch me up, that I wanted it to scar. I wanted to look in the mirror every day and remind myself of what happens when I'm too arrogant. And from that day, I gave everything to the guard. Yes, Magnus meant a great deal to me. I never knew my actual father, and he was the closest thing I had to one. Losing him, it nearly broke me. But I know he'd never forgive me if I just sat around pitying myself and those I've lost. I suppose that's why I am the way I am. I don't want to ever have to go through the pain of losing someone I care about ever again. It's why I'm so hard on you, Blue Blood. You're sweet and charitable, and I'm always terrified that someone will take advantage of that or use your good heart to hurt you. You are the most selfless person I know, and to a lot of people that makes you an easy score. I will never let anyone hurt you or your heart. I swear it. Even if it means I have to add a few more scars to my collection. It'll be worth it if it means that you'll never have to bear them. You think scars are what? Sexy? I mean, that's nice, I guess. To each their own, I say. Come on, Blue Blood. We've wasted enough time with my tale of woe. We've got to get to Port Haven as soon as possible.
Well, what news do you have for me, Asmodeus?
The spell worked flawlessly, my king. I have complete control over the mind of that fool, Gaius. Vvardenfell is yours for the taking.
Not until I've wed that brat of his. As you are always so kind to remind me, I've tried taking his kingdom through force, and that hasn't worked. That's why we're taking the more diplomatic approach. So, tell me, where is my blushing spouse-to-be? Are they on their way to Anguis? No doubt they're thrilled at the thought of marrying such a powerful man. Probably couldn't wait to meet me. Asmodeus, my fiancé is on their way here, aren't they?
I've had the entire Vvardenfell Guard search for them. It would appear that they have fled the kingdom. The guard lost their trail at the edge of the Ebony Woods.
Then why haven't you found them yet? I hardly doubt a spoiled little royal can make it far on their own, especially through the Ebony Woods.
I never said they were alone, sire. They're under the protection of Nazarene Orcis.
Orcis? They're traveling with Orcis?
Do please try to calm down, Your Highness.
Don't tell me to calm down, sorcerer. I have worked too hard for this to be thwarted by that bitch again. She's been a pain in my backside since she was a child. Ungrateful little urchin.
What would you have me do? The Vvardenfell Guard are too frightened of the Ebony Woods to attempt a rescue.
I don't care what you do or how you do it. Kill Orcis if you have to. But I need Vvardenfell's heir alive. Find them Asmodeus and bring them to me. Or I may have to find myself a new sorcerer.